to entitle this vlog Travels with my wee orange bucket. Morning folks. So I'm so pleased to say that the snow seems to have finally started to leave us. Of course it means that there is sheet ice everywhere on some of our more well-trodden paths. Not the easiest for getting around at the moment. Wait, I'm happy that the snow is on the go, because that means we can start getting on with a lot more work. Big misconception about this time of year is that we've got very little to be getting on with. You know, we're mostly market gardeners, selling our veg boxes throughout the summer. But that doesn't mean that we've got nothing to do in winter. We have another 8 acres to look after. Market garden only takes up half an acre, so we've got another 7.5 acres to care for. And at this time of year it means that we can get on with lots of jobs that would be very difficult to do when the summer is here, with all the weeds that grow. We've got hedges to cut, we've got trees to coppice, we've got animal shelters to build, we've got trees to plant, and of course we've got all the market garden work to start planning and getting on with. We're in February now. Our CSA is open. This is really great news. We're starting to get subscribers coming in to sign up to order a veg box for our 22-week season. That's great for us. That's our business kicked off and to a good start this year. With that custom now coming in, it means we can afford to buy our seed that we need. That's the idea behind the community supported agriculture scheme, is that we ask our customers or our members to sign up now, which really helps us at the start of the season. And we can really pre-plan exactly how many seeds we need to buy, because we know our customer base already, and it means we've got the capital to do that. So speaking of that, while we do have a lot of other jobs to be getting on with, now that the snow has started to clear, one really important job is back inside, and that's taking stock of our seeds. We need to have a look at what we've got left from last year, and we need to decide which seeds we're going to buy for this year. What new crops are we going to try growing? What seed varieties are we going to get? Who are we going to buy them from? And where are they going to get planted? What's our rotation going to be this year? Yeah, so we're just going to show you today what is planned for our vegetable garden 2019. And I are in the kitchen. We've pulled out all the seed from last year, and we're just taking stock of what we've got left, what seed is still viable to use this season, and what's run out or a bit out of date. And then once we've done that, we can start focusing a bit more on the detail, like looking at our planting plans, trying to think where things are going to go, looking at the rotation plans so we can see where we can plant the certain families of vegetables this year. What do you got on your list there, Rosa?
Well, James, it's quite a simple list, but it's just a collection of the veg that we'd like to put in the veg box this year. This is based on what we put in the veg box last year and the years before, but each year we either introduce 1 or 2 new things maybe that we've trialed the year before, to just make any edits on things that we noticed went right or didn't go so right last year. So that's the stage we're at the moment. We're just kind of going over things, and then we'll go slowly more into the technical stuff about weights of seeds or numbers of seeds that we need to order, the rotations, the successions as well. So this year we're going to be growing tomatoes for the boxes, which we're really excited to do, because I think the vast majority of our customers will enjoy a nice tomato.
Why haven't we done tomatoes in the veg boxes before?
Because we're in Scotland and we haven't had a big polytunnel.
Yeah.
And last year they were really good. We grew a couple of varieties, very short season, specially bred ones. One from Siberia and the other one from Idaho. These tomatoes ripen quite fast, and as we tasted last year, they were actually really tasty. The Aurora large bush tomato from Real Seeds that we got was my favourite, because it was great to get, you know, this kind of big beefy tomato that wasn't mealy, you know, ripened well, turned into a sauce nicely, but chopped up in, you know, big kind of slices in salads. So really excited to have that. this year.
So what have we got on the list?
We're going to grow 4 main culinary herbs that we figure that the majority of people will like. Coriander, basil, mint and parsley. The coriander and the basil will be in the polytunnel, and then the parsley will be outside. We've decided this year to grow flat leaf instead of curly because actually we found that did better last year. And then mint we've got growing everywhere, so we're not going to bother sowing that, but we plan to forage that and we can give people bunches of mint. And the veg that we've decided to grow this coming year, we've got garlic, tomatoes, chili, onions, potatoes, leeks, spring onions, courgette, carrots, beetroot, chard, kale, cabbage, calabrese, which is broccoli, sprouts, cauliflower, runner beans, dwarf French beans, broad beans, peas, mange tout, and kohlrabi. So that is peas. Last year we grew 3 varieties of beetroot. This is the beetroot chogia and the Alvaro mono and cylindra. And we thought actually last year when we planted them all out that we might have a few too many beets, but actually we had a really good response from our customers. Everyone seemed to really enjoy the beetroot. We started our season with the chogia, which are always a winner. They're a beautiful pink beetroot with candy stripe, so it's pink and white layers, so that when you cut it in half you get these concentric circles in pink and white, so they look like candy. The great thing about these that we noticed as well was that they had some really tender greens that came off of the top of them, so we might this year use them in a different way, you know, cut them off and give them to people separately to the beetroot, because they really were like a tender chard. So the other 2 beetroot we did as our kind of main crop beetroot. The cylindra, as the name suggests, is a kind of sausage-shaped beetroot. Cylindrical? Well, yeah, but it's got rounded ends. Cylindrical. Oh, I'm blushing. Okay. The cylindra, as the name suggests, is a cylindrical beetroot. And then the Alvaro mono are kind of your standard big globe beetroot. And they weren't woody or they didn't lose their flavour, they were still really sweet. So really recommend these 2.
So one of my favourite kales that we grew last year, and in fact I think I've been growing for the last 7 years that we've been growing veg here at TAMAR farm, is red Russian kale. A lot of you will know this one, it's nothing too fancy. It's one of our favourite varieties of kale for several reasons. One being that it's incredibly hardy, but then again most kale will withstand the Scottish weather. But with red Russian kale we can basically grow it in 2 different ways. We can grow it to its maturity where we strip leaves off the side of the stems, or the other way that we can grow it, which is actually how we use it the most, is as a baby leaf. Red Russian kale as a baby leaf makes a beautiful salad leaf. It's one that we mix into all our salad bags along with salad leaves such as rocket and mizuna. So this means that in the height of summer we can actually sow the red Russian kale, and within 28 to 30 days we've got it ready to crop. And we usually get about 2 or 3 cuts per bed.
Much about beans. So they were just a standard green bean, but they were very tender, they grew really well. And I really liked the fact that they were dwarf because it meant that we didn't have to do huge structures for them to climb up. They were really productive still. You know, they grew to about this size, you know, 1.5 feet. And that just was perfect for in the polytunnel for us with getting around. It's a little bit more cramped in there.
Carrots. One of my favourite crops that I enjoy growing in the market garden are carrots. Last year we grew several varieties of carrots. One was Autumn King, and as the name suggests, that was sort of one that we can sow a little bit later in the season, and it can be quite a good storage variety of carrot. The other one was Milan. I grew this as quite an early variety. It was very sweet. As I'm sure a lot of you know, people who grow carrots at home just know that they're always so much better tasting than the ones that we buy from the shop. Alright, so that's just highlighting some of the varieties that we're going to be growing again this year. As you can see, we buy most of our seeds from TAMAR Organics. Really great company based down in the south of England. The other company that we use is Chase Organics. We've bought from Real Seeds, that's where we get our tomatoes from, and some of our kale varieties such as Sutherland kale, which is a little bit more hard to come by. We always try and buy organic seed. So far we're not really collecting our own seed. I feel we don't really have the skills just yet to be able to do that, and the time that's involved in having to really concentrate on how to collect seed in a way that's going to work for us. We've got quite a lot of seed left over from last year, and we are going to try and use as much of this as possible. Sometimes we do start from scratch though every year, even though most of these seeds are probably quite likely to grow again. To take that risk for us when we're really having to rely on this being a successful crop isn't really worth it for us. If we imagine they're not viable anymore and they don't germinate very well, then that's going to cause a lot of problems for us. Not just because we might not get such a large crop, but if we only get half a bed germinating, then it's really not worth our time growing that, because we'll have to weed a lot more around these patchy crops. So for us, we need reliable germination so that we've got a lovely even germination rate across the beds.
So that's us just gone through all of our seeds from the past couple of seasons. Part of that process was just discussing what varieties we wanted to grow, and through that kind of deciding that some were great but also some didn't work so well for us. We thought that might be quite useful to talk about some of them.
Yeah, so this is
this is the reject pile.
Reject bin. This is our pile of keepers.
Yeah, sorted into the different families, or also just types of vegetables, you know, the ones that we sow in quick succession. We tend to group together our salads and things like that. So helps a bit when finding them in the kind of manic times in the season. So yeah, but with these, we're ready to now look through them and see how many we need of each seed, and some we may not need to order anymore because we over-ordered last year.
What are we giving up on this year then?
Yeah, I mean, some of these are just old seed.
What we got? We got this. So this is the pea progress number 9, which is for growing into lovely garden peas, you know, peas in their pod. I think I bought these in the first season, which was 2016.
A bit old.
Yeah, it might be a bit old, but we could try maybe growing these as pea shoots.
Yeah.
Just in case, and see if we get a crop of pea shoots. Otherwise, we're going to be making a new order of those ones.
Squash. Yeah, we're not going to try squash this year. For one, they're only ready quite late in the season. They take up a lot of space.
Yeah, space.
You know, courgettes, you keep cropping them and they'll keep growing, and the squash, we just leave them there. They take up many beds, maybe 2 or 3 beds, and then we maybe fill 2 boxes with squash, you know, 1 per person. It's just not worth it for us, and they didn't actually do that well last year anyway. So ruling them out.
Courgette, I mean, we're definitely doing courgette this year. It's, as you know, if you run a market garden or if you've got a vegetable garden, it's a really important one to grow. But this was one called Gold Rush, and I grew this the first 2 seasons in the market garden. And it was really nice. You know, it's these bright yellow courgettes, but they seem to get, I think it's like a kind of end rot. Yeah, you know, the ends of the courgettes go a bit mushy, more susceptible to going a bit mouldy. And we've had a better success with varieties such as Cocozella and Nero, so we're going to be sticking with those this year anyway.
Tried out pak choy and tatsoi last season. They were both nice, but we found that along with our very mustardy salad mix we do, and we have quite, you know, when we put kale in the boxes as well, I think it was just more that it wasn't needed as a part of the box. It was just another kind of mustardy oriental green. And so again, just space-wise, taking up a whole bed to grow them, even though they're reasonably fast growing, not great. But they're not bad crops, in fact they're quite good in cold weather and stuff. Not freezing, but quite cold.
We've tried so many different sort of lettuces and salad leaves over the years. I think for the last few years we've done an oak leaf lettuce, and yeah, certainly last year was sort of like the nail in the coffin for that, because we grew several beds of it, and it seemed to be really sluggish in growth. Blinked our eyes, and it was ready to. It'd gone past being ready. It was starting to go a bit slimy. It was starting to bolt. In the time that the oak leaf was trying to grow, we got many cuts of some of our other salads and bagged it up and sold it. So the oak leaf, it ended up going to the hens mostly. Yeah,
I mean.
Chicory, straight off I'd be like, not one of my favourites to even eat. Rose is a bit of a champion for the old chicory, but on our feedback sheets at the end of the season, most people sort of said that chicory was a bit too bitter for them.
I mean, chicory is nice, it's just that I think when you're trying to please a kind of large range of people, it's too hit and miss.
Tell you who did enjoy this very bit of chicory, and that was our cows.
Yeah.
When we had cows here on the property, they used to break out, and I remember saying to Rosa that, you know, when they break out and finally find the market garden, that's the end for these cows on this farm. They did do that, and they gorged on about half a bed of this chicory, and that was when we decided we'd sell the cows.
That's it really, isn't it? I mean, our next step now is we're just gonna make the seed order. Yeah, so that's actually involves us going through our receipts from last year, looking at the amounts, and then going through. I've got this book here, basically just a notebook, and each page corresponded to a different bed in our garden. So I took notes on when things were planted, how many were planted, how they grew, a pest or something, and just general thoughts about how we could improve it next year, or what was great and what we should definitely do again, especially if we're experimenting. We're going to be looking through some of this to see how many more seeds we might need to order of each variety that we've chosen. So that's quite useful. It's nice to keep notes of everything as I do. Great! Let's do a seed order. I know I do this, and I know I want to go.
This is what happens, yeah.
No, but this is different.
Blah. We've just sat at the table and we've done this pretty professionally. We've been quite cutthroat, and then we come to making the actual seed order, and it still seems to take hours because Rosa just wants to.
Kid in a sweet shop. So if you like what you saw today, please hit subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.